Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to someone else who can utilize this information as well. A good friend of mine, probably my best friend, next to my godfather, she's probably my best friend, is a Taurus. I've known her for over 15 years, probably by this point. And she has a daughter who was born the day before me. Her daughter is going into high school probably this week or next week. And she is chomping at the bit for a second of freedom because my friend, the Taurus, is very protective. A very good mom, a good person too. It's the only reason why she's my friend because we've been through a lot together, and we hung in there. She's been a very good friend to me. So anyway, her daughter's going to high school. She wants some freedom, and she asked me, how can she give her freedom without, how can she, give her freedom, but not give her too much freedom, but not stifle her spirit, but not encourage her to, be out there in the street acting crazy, What can she do to help her as a Taurus and not be too overbearing? Like how can she find that balance, And the thing about it is that an Aquarius is always going to be craving freedom. I mean, I don't care how old you are. An Aquarius always wants to be free, to make our own decisions, to make our own choices. And some of the times they really aren't the best decisions. So when dealing with an Aquarius of her age and trying to help her, the first thing I would do is I would let her make decisions that weren't harmful. You probably already do a lot of this because I see, this is my friend, so I see her parenting style, but she already does a lot of this anyway. But let her make any decisions that are, okay for her to make, like decisions about what shoes she wants to buy, or, what outfits she wants to wear, how she wants to wear her hair, all those kind of individualistic things that my mom would not let me do. My mom bought my clothes for me until I rebelled and got a job and started buying them myself. And she wouldn't let me go with her to pick them out. She wouldn't let me, have any individuality as far as that was concerned. She brought everything home and it was like, okay, here, I got very little say about my style and those kind of things. And it took me a long time to figure out how to dress as a teenager because I didn't really know how to. She'd always just brought a bag of clothes or a bag of shoes or a bag of whatever home and gave it to me, which I was always grateful to get anything, but I had no individual style. So I would definitely encourage that whenever possible. And as far as having freedom to go places and do things, one of the things I know for a fact is that you have to teach her how to govern herself. Aquarius are self-governing. So you have to teach her how to make the right decisions. Aquarius make a lot of bad decisions in our real wild form. At 14, my decisions weren't that bad, but they were headed in that direction. By the time I was 15, I had went to a club for the first time. I was already sneaking to smoke cigarettes. I was already puffing on other things. I was already drinking Jack Daniels. I was already making bad decisions is the point. So you want to talk to her and teach her how to govern herself, how to make good decisions. What happens when somebody offers her cocaine? What happens when somebody offers her alcohol or drugs? What happens when a boy wants to be intimate with her? What happens in these kind of difficult scenarios that teenagers go through? And instead of just, my mom just hoped I made the right decision, and sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. So if I were you, I would be talking to her about the real issues. A lot of parents are scared to talk about the real issues. And I recommend this really for any child, but especially if you have an Aquarius child, because they are self-governing. Aquarius have to be taught how to make good, productive decisions, because otherwise we'll just do what looks like fun. And sometimes what looks like fun can get you in trouble. So I would be having those hard conversations. I would be giving her age appropriate reading materials too, because they have books and all kinds of stuff that covers these kinds of topics. And I will be giving them to her, and I'll be talking to her about this. As a Taurus, I would keep open a very and you guys do this, but I will keep open a very open dialogue. The more you talk to your kids about things, the more you talk to your teenager about teenage issues and teach them how to make right decisions, the better off they'll be. The bottom line is that most kids are going to branch off and go do their own thing. At least if you've taught them the issues, you've taught them what could happen, you've taught them that they could potentially be sex trafficking, all kind of things happening to a teenager. And if you talk about those issues, drugs, guns, those kind of things, I know a lot of alcohol abuse goes on during that time. So if you talk to her openly and honestly about these things and give her things to read, like I said, that are age appropriate and things like that, novels and books and things like that, I really think that she'll make the right decision. She's not going to get it right every time because she's only 14, but she'll make better decisions more often. You have to teach her how to take care of herself, how to govern herself, how to make good decisions, how to know what to do if there's an emergency. It's one of those kind of things. And you don't want to stifle her spirit. That's why you're teaching her these things, but you're still her mom. So I would still monitor what she's doing. She needs to be continuing to tell you where she's going, who she's going to be with. You should have information if she's going to spend the night or she's going to, after school, go to a play or whatever. You should be able to contact her, and you should know at all times where she is and things along those lines. So those kind of things don't change. But now you just have to gradually let go of the reins by teaching her how to hold the reins. That's the thing. And that's the protective part. The protective part is not wanting her to get hurt. But one day you're not going to be there. You have to teach her how to live without you. That's the bottom line. Because one day you're not going to be there, and she's going to have to make these decisions on the fly. You see? And as an Aquarius, we're so impulsive, She has to learn to think things through. Whatever method, you can teach her methods, because my friend is all into therapy and, those kind of things. I'm not sure what her title is, but her degree is in some form of psychology or something like that. So you have to teach her some techniques that you probably know better than I do, some techniques of how to stop and breathe and think things through. She has to curb her impulsive nature and try to make the right decision in that moment. And like I said, leaving the lines of communication wide open to talk about, because a lot of parents, and I say this to all my parents because I was in this position too, a lot of parents don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations with our kids. Don't nobody want to talk to their kids about sex and drugs and guns, but you have to, because if you don't, who will? Somebody has to give them the right message, because the street is not going to give them the right message. The street is going to give them whatever message the street wants to give them. You have to tell them right, So she's at that point where you have to start to make sure that she knows how to make it on her own. And this is one of the things I didn't do very well. I didn't do this very well with my own daughter. I'm still working on this now because I didn't encourage enough independence. So you don't want to be like me, because now I'm trying to do it, and she's much older now. My daughter's 24 going on 25, and I'm just now really encouraging independence in the past couple of years. I should have been encouraging this back when she was 14, but I wasn't, because I was overprotective and afraid for her. So you don't want to do that either, because now she's 24 and she really doesn't know how to go into the world and live without me. And that's what I'm trying to teach her now, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm not always going to be here. You see? So you're at the same space, and you're at a space, 10 years earlier, of course, and this is the right time to be at that space. This is great, because now you can teach her how to do these things, and then she can go off into the world. You see? It's not an exact science. It's never perfect. and they do make mistakes. They do fall. They do stumble. We all do, you know. But that's the best way with an Aquarius. Aquarius need to govern themselves. Many of us are lone wolves. So she needs to know how to make it on her own. And that's one way of doing it. And of course, like giving her responsibility as she earns it. She has to show you that she's responsible enough to do XYZ by doing small things. It's like a gradual buildup. Like, okay, you can go to the library until 5, you know, and then if you do well with that and come home on time for a couple of months, then I might let you go a little further or do something else, you know, and that's the kind of thing. And gradually, very gradual, over the course of the 4 years of high school, you know, that kind of gradual, you know. So I would just keep on as she showed responsibility. Now, if she proves herself to be irresponsible, wild, not listening like I was, then that's when you get more and more restrictions on you until your behavior comes apart with the young adult that you are. You see? So I hope that helps you. I do not envy anyone who has an Aquarius child. It is a very difficult endeavor, and it's quite the balance between squashing them and encouraging their spirit. You know, you're doing a good job at it though. So just keep on doing what you've been doing and look at the parts that I talked about that you might need to incorporate as she's getting older. And some of that is just learning how to let go. It took me until now to learn how to let go. So that's something you might want to teach yourself too. On the flip of this, you may want to look at therapeutic ways that you can begin to be less overprotective, because that's what I'm doing now, you know? So it can be ways that you can teach yourself to do that, which you'll be able to find because you have access to all that stuff. And for those of you who don't, the internet has all kinds of things that can be helpful for a mother who's learning how to let go. Slowly but surely giving their child more responsibility. Okay? All right, sweet pea. I hope that helps you. And I hope your baby girl has a great school year. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you want a reading, please email me and I will give you an appointment. And all my other information will be underneath here. And I'll talk to you next time. Come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.